Friends, we are going to start the event today. Our guest is already there and also the anchor. I request the anchor to start the proceedings. Mr. Rajinikanth.
Yes, sir. Good evening, participants. I welcome you to the 62nd edition of Ee Sambhashane conducted by Samprabha, the Sports and Cultural Association of Customs and GST. This evening, Adv TNC SRIDHAR is going to address the gathering, and this evening he is going to speak on the topic Income Tax Act 2025, complexity, enhancing certainty. There's a very good topic indeed. And it has got relevance because we all know this Income Tax Act is a very dynamic act. Just like our Central Excise Act and GST Act, we can expect changes and amendments to this act in form of notification interval of every 1 or 2 months. So as you all know, Income Tax Act has undergone changes in the recent times. For example, when it comes to filing income tax returns, so it has undergone so many changes in the recent years. Initially, they made it Saral, and there is one more Saral 2A, etc. But of course, the Saral became little complex in filing income tax returns.
No longer Saral.
Now we have income tax filing systems which are more rational and user-friendly software. But still, this is the law which is full of doubts and some clauses which requires clarifications, of course. So now, to speak about these issues, we have with us Adv TNC SRIDHAR. He is an IRS officer, worked in income tax in different positions, including position as Joint Commissioner, and worked in different wings of income tax, such as assessment, investigation, administration, training, intelligence, and prosecution, etc. He has the blend of different branches of knowledge, as he has qualifications in science, labor, law, and Sanskrit. He has a master degree in Sanskrit language and literature from Karnataka Sanskrit University. After retirement, he is practicing in taxation counsel before Karnataka High Court. During his service, he held several important positions, including Joint Commissioner of Income Tax and Standing Counsel for Income Tax Department before Karnataka High Court. He worked as member of Regional Direct Taxes Advisory Committee of Government of India and chairman of major cooperative banking institutions in Mumbai. His career and his contribution mainly as member of core investigation team and landmark scam, that is scam, we all know that stamp paper scam. Besides leading this, he has undertaken numerous complex search and investigation assignments. Adv TNC SRIDHAR is also engaged in training and knowledge sharing since 1986 through professional training and capacity building. He has served as faculty of numerous training institutions, has delivered lectures for professional bodies and educational institutions, public forums across the country. Through his popular YouTube channel, Tax Talks by TNC SRIDHAR, he continues to simplify complex tax laws and make them accessible to professionals, students, and taxpayers. Beyond taxation, Adv SRIDHAR is a man of letters and culture. He is a polyglot, a multilingual scholar, proficient in Tamil, Kannada, Hindi, Marathi, Gujarati, and English. His working knowledge of Konkani and German, he has got working knowledge of Konkani and German. He is also a poet who is Hindi poetry collections, Khayal and Atmachintan have been widely appreciated. He is a familiar face who comes on television debates and respected voice on tax matters across radio and electronic media. He combines technical expertise with clarity of expression and practical wisdom. His ability to explain complex legislative changes in simple, relatable terms have earned admiration across professional circles. So this evening, I warmly welcome you, sir, to this program. I also welcome all participants who are showing keen interest in Ee Sambhashane. Thank you very much. Over to you, sir. Thank you.
Sir, now you can share your PPT.
Okay.
You can go to the arrow,
Yeah.
press share, and take
Yeah.
entire desktop and down share again.
Yeah, you are able to see, no?
We will be able to, don't worry about it. You
Yeah.
do sharing. Yeah.
You had told me going to that university, I would have told you it's absolutely bullshit. I would have seriously, but they can ignore.
Kindly mute yourself, others.
Yeah.
Are you able to do it, sir?
Yeah, I got it on my screen. I don't know whether you have got it on your screen.
It will actually it is not coming because you have not pressed the share button.
I pressed the share button.
So don't worry, I will handle it, sir. Kindly leave
Okay,
it.
you handle it from your side.
Yeah, I'll do that.
I will not
Yeah.
go ahead with that now.
Now, are you able to see it, sir?
1 minute. I'm just closing this off.
Yeah.
I will also cancel this so that you handle from your side. Okay?
Yeah.
Yeah. Now,
Is it
so
visible
good
to you,
evening,
sir?
everybody. I'm very much. Are you able to hear me? Am I
Yes, sir.
audible?
Yes,
Yeah.
sir, you are audible. Please go ahead.
I'm very much thankful to Kodanraman sir for finding me, considering me eligible enough to address such an elite audience. Okay, and it's my pleasure being here. And however, keeping the time in view because already it is 7:40, so I'm told by 8:20 we should wind up. So, but the topic is very wide. So, keeping that in view, I would like to see that I'll precisely stick to the point. And after that, if you're able to make some question answer session, any specific issues that we can always track on that.
Sir,
So
one
now
more
coming to the
information, sir. Sir,
income
one
tax.
more
Pardon?
information. We are going to
Yeah.
have one more week for part 2. So don't have to hurry, sir. We are going to have part 2 for this
Okay.
in the coming.
What does that mean? Extension.
Now
Okay.
you can extension. You don't have to worry. Don't worry about the time. You can complete at 8:30 as usual. Question answer, if time permits, we will take it up. And next week you are going to continue, sir.
Okay. No, we can continue because you people should have food also. No, that is food timing is also
No,
there.
next week.
I should keep that also
Next
in
week.
mind.
Next Thursday.
Okay.
Next Thursday we will give it to you, sir.
Okay, need be. Yeah.
That's
okay.
what we call part 2.
Okay.
Please
So
go ahead,
now, now I just have to go down. It's not going down. It's only sharing. I don't know whether how it goes down. The screen is not. Yeah. Now it's going. Yeah. Okay. Now, this 2025 Act, you see the very first sentence it says as it is for consolidation. The word consolidation is used. The word consolidation is used because it's not a new act that's coming into force. It's only consolidation of the existing act. So 1961 Act has been a subject for numerous amendments in the passage of more than 60 years, say. And what happened, any act, as you are aware, as a person who has been dealing with the law, whenever any law is written, there are people to find out the different meanings in that and bring out different context and try to say that how it can be twisted to their benefits. So what happened at that point of time, it becomes imperative on the part of the legislature to see that how the holes can be plugged. To speak on the lighter vein, a successful cricket captain is the one who will place the field placement on the basis of how the ball will be played and not how the ball was played. So if you are able to make the field placing that this is how the ball will be put and this is how he will bat and accordingly I'll keep a fielder over there and he can catch it up. But if the earlier ball that fellow has hit where the gap was there, if you put a fielder over there, there is a gap on the other side, he will hit on the other side. He can never be successful. Similarly, in the enactments also what happens, when a drafting takes place, at that point of time, it is left to the imagination of the drafting people how they are able to convert the intention of the legislature into an understandable letter. So when it is made, at that point of time, what happens, certain situations are not even thought of. But when it comes in reality, the facts start speaking. And that leads to various case laws And subsequently, when the department finds there is a possible interpretation which has not been looked into at the time of drafting and has not taken care about it, then the legislature starts bringing in the amendments by way of either clarification or by way of proviso or other things and all. So what happened over a period of time, the lot of mitigation took place. It literally mitigated the whole thing, overburdened with complex languages. Because sometimes what happened, some of the drafting people think that they are going to produce a piece of literature. No, when somebody brings out a piece of literature, it's okay. He may enjoy it, but it may not be understood. I'll give you a simple example, one simple sentence about Ramayana. Sri Rama, as per the direction of his father, proceeded to the Vanavas for 14 years, along with his brother Lakshmana and his wife Sita. Now, this particular sentence is what the writer of the Ramayana thought, that it is the Rama going with his brother Lakshmana and his wife Sita. Now, when brought into writing, the persons who want to create some issue, they will say, you tell me Sita is whose wife? Because the sentence says, Rama went to Vanvas along with his brother Lakshmana. No problem till then. And his wife Sita, that his refers to whom? Rama or Lakshmana. So when it's like that, when the, like a postmortem, like, cutting and reading between printer and the paper starts, there the problem comes. So with all such things, the difficulty about the drafters, after the drafting is made and all the thinking is done, and on the top of it, the person who is thinking about it is one person and drafting it another person, and third person is going to execute. You people have been doing the execution for so many years, and you know your difficulty, because when the thing comes before you and to face the public, what kind of interpretations are brought out? So what happened? Immediately you say, okay, go ahead, you go to the court, you go this, that, and all those things happen, and ultimately a lot of efficiency and direct tax administration takes place. So income tax policy in 1961 has been subjected to numerous amendments since the passage of more than 60 years. As a result of these amendments, the basic structure of the income tax has been overburdened with language, become complex, increasingly cost compliance. Because whenever any unintended interpretation takes place, it goes to legal channel. That means it involves cost to the administration. The tax administrators, practitioners, and taxpayers have also raised concern about the complicated provisions and the structures of the income tax. Therefore, the government in the budget 24 announced that the time-bound comprehensive review of Income Tax Act would be undertaken to make the act concise, lucid, easy, and ready and understand. Accordingly, Income Tax Bill 2020 was prepared and all. This does not guarantee that there won't be any litigation. Litigations will take place. That's going to be there. So, with all such things happening, I think my thing is not working in that case. The screen is not moving. Kodanraman, can you help me to go to the next screen?
It
I'm
will
not
not
able to-
work from you. It
Huh?
will not work from you. It will work from me only.
Okay, now I don't know why it is not going to the next screen.
I will go to, sir.
Huh?
I'll help you, sir. I am going to help you.
Okay. Okay, now it has
Fine,
gone.
sir.
Yeah. Now, this act is consolidated to amend the law relating there. That is the very first sentence of the 2025 Act. An act to consolidate and amend the law relating thereto. And the number of words have been reduced from 5.12 lakhs to 2.6 lakhs. Almost 60% it has brought down. This is done by way of a presentation. Everything was written separately. They have brought in tables. Wherever they could consolidate the matters, like TDS provisions. Consolidate provisions, they created a table. Instead of writing in words, they created a table. So 18 tables earlier were being made to 57 tables. Even the exemptions. In the Income Tax Act Section 10, there are about 100 items of exemptions. So these 100 items of exemption have been consolidated into a table. But net to, you see that 144 amendments, 144 items of exemptions are there. They've all been brought in to concise the whole thing. And then what they have done, the schedules also they have made from 14 to 16. certain schedules have been removed. Like, for example, for recovery proceedings, as you are aware, you also must have had the recovery proceedings in your Central Excise Act. That was considered to be a separate area. It was not functioning within the Act, it was outside the Act. It was part of schedule. Because earlier, the recovery of the tax dues were given to the collector. The collector has the jurisdiction for collecting. He will, when intimated to the collector to recover, he will collect it as land revenue and send it to the department. But when we found that the collector is overburdened with collection work and effective work is not being done, then the government thought of transferring the powers of collection to the income tax department regarding income tax arrears. And accordingly, a second schedule was created where a tax recovery officer was created over there and it was done. Now, what they have done is that schedule has been abolished. Not that recovery procedures are abolished. Recovery procedures were brought into the Act. There is a separate two sections are there which deals with the recovery proceedings. Already there were recovery proceedings available to the income tax officer, but they were restricted only to attachment and sale of movable properties and attachment of immovable. Attachment of and sale of immovable property was not the domain of the assessing officer. That was the domain of the tax recovery officer. Now, that whole tax recovery officer has been brought into the Income Tax Act, and accordingly this has been made. Like that, the schedule they have made, very beautiful, very logically they have made the schedule. It's really very interesting to read those schedules. How they have made these schedules into classifying even the exemption that is there. They classified into about 7-8 areas and made it to schedules and presented it beautifully. And the number of sections, earlier the numbered section was 298. The other day I just walked into one of the officers' cabin. I was talking to her, "Oh, madam, how are you? Everything?" "What, sir? Now that new income tax act has come, tumba headache." I said, "What happened?" "See, earlier we could read only 298 sections. Now we have to read more than 500 sections." I said, "Madam, you are not reading 298 sections. Because in the Income Tax Act, there were certain sections A, B, C, D, E, F, like that, W, Z, A, Z, A, Z, B, like that, they were going." So he said, "Oh, is it so?" I said, "You are actually in effect reading about 819 sections. Now that has been reduced to 536. I said, "Oh, is it so?" I said, "Yes. The sections have been reduced, but they have been made more compact. Earlier, like a monkey, you have to jump from one tree to another tree, referring this section to that section, as specified in this section, as specified in that section. You'd keep running around. No, that thing all been brought under one head. And they have brought it in one place, so it becomes easier for you to consolidate and see. That's how you'll go ahead. Even the chapters, which are 47 chapters, have been reduced to 23. Because consolidations have taken place in that. The formulas are introduced. A lot of formulas are introduced in this. Right, from 6, almost 46 formulas have been introduced. And all. So, as I told you earlier, the words have been reduced from 5 lakh plus to 2.5 lakhs. The number of pages, same, have been reduced from 823 pages to 622 pages. That means paper use less. Font, you can use a bigger font if you want to read better. Otherwise, you have to hold a magnifying glass and read the Income Tax Act if it is in 4 font and 5 font. Okay. The Act simplifies the language, removes obsolete provisions, consolidates, restructure provisions. That's how this whole thing is going on. Okay. Now, what happened next? What happened? Okay. How do you go to the previous one?
Previous, I'll go, sir. You have to tell me.
You go to the previous one.
Yeah, I will do it, sir.
Yeah, previous one. Now you go to the next one. Next. Now, the explanation, provisions, etc. have been brought into the main act itself, main section itself. And subsections that were made separately, they have been made as regular numbered sections. Because previously it was 10A, 10B, 10C, 10D, like that. Now it is 10, 11, 12, 13, like that. Running numbers are given to them. And related sections are bunched into the schedules. So, introduction of tables and formulae for clarity and easy implementation. The one act they have brought in here is that virtual digital assets, including cryptocurrency and tokenized assets. Now, for you might have come across cryptocurrencies. In fact, in my Tax Talk by TNC SRIDHAR episode, I have dealt one episode on the cryptocurrency. And in that, I've explained in detail about what is virtual digital asset and what is crypto, what is fungible tokens, and all those things. There are two things called fungible tokens and non-fungible tokens. How they are to be identified? Because ultimately, what income tax recognizes? Income tax recognizes one thing is that income has to be brought to tax. What is income? Whatever money you get minus whatever money you have spent for earning this income. If your money that is earned is A and the money you have spent for earning this income is B, A minus B is income. Now, what happens when that income is there? That what happens? That again goes out through two doors. The next door is Khaya Piya Khatam Kiya. You have spent it, no evidence whatsoever. Third one is it is lying in the form of an asset. It can be in the form of gold, it can be in the form of cash, it can be in the form of property, it may be property of some loans or whatever it is. And one such asset is virtual digital asset, which is crypto. Now, crypto assets is not a legal tender in India. It's not legal. But wherever money has gone, that money they have to explain. So that thing is there here, and accordingly, the virtual digital asset has been recognized as an asset, even though cryptocurrency transactions are not legal as per the Indian laws. The core objective of this group is of this provision is that simplification. Replace anarchic language and redundant provisions with clear, concise, and modern legal text. The two terms which I came across in the Income Tax Act is that notwithstanding anything contained in. The moment I used to see this sentence called notwithstanding anything contained, first I had to do is run away from this place because I was not able to understand what is this word. It's very confusing. It puts you off immediately. Secondly, there was one save as otherwise provided. It took so much time for me to understand, but for a common man, it's just impossible to understand the implications of it. So, the notwithstanding has been removed from the act. And another word, simpler word is introduced in these sections so that common man will understand those things. And digital integration enabled faceless assessment and digital compliance to reduce human interface and corruption. Okay, I will not talk on this particular topic of corruption because ultimately it is a human tendency. It is attached not with your chair, but for the human who is handling the powers. And in this case, to reduce that human interface as far as possible, they use the this one of help of the technology. In fact, this faceless assessment was brought in, and it was not exhaustively defined in the act, but now a specific rules and everything has been brought into that, and it has been made part of the act in a specific, very specific manner. Then it is more of a tax-centric approach. Now, you have heard Indian Penal Code. You have been dealing with it. That has been now replaced by Bharatiya Nyaya Sanhita. Now, what is the need for that? If you are going to use the same thing, why give an Indian name as Nyaya Sanhita? Now, very important aspect is that when you talked about Indian Penal Code, the word penal is very important because penal means penalty. That means you are going to punish the offender. So focus of the act is to punish the offender. Okay, you are punishing the offender, but what about the justice to the victim? The focus has to change. So the moment you call it as Nyaya Sanhita, means Nyaya, that means granting justice, your focus changes totally. In fact, yesterday I was speaking to some tax practitioners. I was telling them, I asked them, which side of the table you are? They said, sir, we are definitely for the SSC. We are on the other side of the table. I said, wrong. I said, you are a technical officer of Government of India. Even I tell the chartered accountants, you are chartered accountants. You are an accountant. Basically, you can be chartered. And the power to get chartered, the certificate of practice is given by your institution called Institute of Chartered Accountants of India. Again, that is a body which tests your knowledge and grants you a license. That is under the Chartered Accountants Act. Just like you have got Advocates Act and Bar Council of India, Like that, these are the bodies which test your knowledge and you give. And for tax practitioners, as tax practitioners, you are not tested by the ICAI. So you don't have the Chartered Accountant Practice Certificate, but you are registered to the department and department recognize your knowledge and gives you a certificate. Yes, you can practice. Now what happened? You are to act as a bridge to bring present the matters of the SSC before the department. A mandate is required to be presented. So your focus should be that you should help the department taking a right decision. If you take a Ola taxi from point A to point B, and you are going to pay the taxi driver, but if you ask him to go, Are, I am getting late, you enter this no entry and go, will he go? He will not go. If you say, Are, red light, Are, break, I am giving you the money, go. No. When a taxi driver can obey the law, why can't you obey the law? So change your focus to see that you are not man of the SSC. You are only a facilitator for the SSC to help. You are primarily technical officer of Government of India. Now, when this thing I told, sir, our whole focus is changing now. Instead of hiding, we will see that how best it can be presented to the department and explain the SSC that this is what you have to pay. Nobody minds paying taxes as long as it doesn't bring them any further trouble. You have to help him in that way. That is how the thing works. So it has become a more taxpayer-centric approach. And then what happens? Because of this electronics, the physical barriers have gone. The world has become one. The commerce has become e-commerce. It's all in the sky. So we have to align ourselves with the global economic scenario. So reflect the contemporary economic reality, including taxation of digital asset and global income. This is how the whole thing goes. Next slide, sir. Move on to the next. Now what happened? There are, in income tax, we use the word previous year and assessment year. As far as SSC is concerned, the income of the year which is to be considered is called the previous year. But previous year means year prior to what it is. So he says whether I should take this year's income or last year's income. Confusion. Then he used the word assessment year. What is the assessment year? Again, you are going to assessment year relevant to the previous year. Confusion. Why use this complicated thing? What are you interested in? You are interested in taxing the income of the year in which that income arises. So use the word tax year. Don't use the word assessment. Use the word tax year only, so that there is no confusion over the whole thing. To remove introduction of this tax year word, which has replaced the word of assessment year and previous year, it's a single unified concept that will erase a lot of unnecessary tension among the people. Then the government is designed to new schemes aimed at improving efficiency, transparency, accountability in tax administration. There's section 532 that deals with it. It eliminates, this is what is called as your faceless assessment. Optimizing utilization of resources through economic of scale and functional specialization. So these are the areas that they have dealt with. They provided each officer with a computer which he can carry home and they can do the things and they can go on. So if one is not able to come to office because of too much traveling is involved and all, he must sit at home and still function from work on home. No problem. That's all is there. So like that, these particular schemes have been brought by the government. Next slide. Next, sir. So multiple provisions have been brought together for more clarity. For example, the provisions of TDS have been brought under one section. Otherwise, they are running 194 A, B, C, D, E, F, G, H, I, J, K, L, so many things. Now, these things have been consolidated into tables. So when you put in a table, it becomes easy to reference also, easy to understand also. So it's all brought in under one section called 393, where the whole provision of, there it consists of 5 columns. It talks about section, then it talks about the item. What is the item that is to be considered? Then it talks about the payee, then it talks about the payer, then it talks about the percentage, how much of TDS you have to deduct, under what. If any special items are there, that is dealt with in the notes below. That's how it takes up. So this consolidation is intended to simplify the legal framework and make it easier for taxpayer and professional to locate and interpret TDS rules without navigating through numerous scattered clauses. Because what happened here, you say, this is the thing. Then you say, if you don't do it, you go to penalty provision. Then not penalty, you go to prosecution proceeding. So all things have been brought in. And you talk about the taxes, rates. The special provisions are being dealt separately. Those things are all brought into that. Section 111, 12, 13, 14, 15, we're dealing with special rates. Now, those all things taken out and put it in the respective clauses, like capital gain was to be taxed. Capital gain is taxed at a special rate. Financial transactions are taxed at special rate. Cryptocurrencies are taxed at separate rate. They are dealt with in separate sections. Now, all these things have been brought under one head. One headwise they have been made, that is to make it more simpler. Then, virtual digital space has been defined as an environment or area, the realm that constructed experienced through the computer technology. It includes email servers, cloud servers, social media account, online investment, etc., etc. In fact, the digital recognition of a digital evidence itself was a big thing. As you are aware, IPC was drafted somewhere in 1882 by Lord Macaulay. That time computers were not there. You could not imagine that there is something called digital asset. There's something called digital evidence. Now, whenever you pick up a phone and speak to somebody, the entire thing leaves a record behind, which can always be retrieved. Your transactions can be retrieved. Today I'm speaking to you. The whole thing can be retrieved by somebody else later on. Suppose I say that I've said something, I say I have not said at all. It can be culled out from the electronic media because this all traveled through various channels. They can always be done. So with that help, the first digital evidences were acceptable evidence in the court of law, it came through. Similarly, now all these aspects which are coming in fact, I had done one episode on digital, that is what you call as, people are doing the QR code payment. No, what do you call it? Digital payment people are making. You go to a shop and then chai, you take 10 rupees tea, you make through this GPay, you make the payment. It has become so convenient. You travel in rickshaw, you get on, you make a QR code, you make a payment and you go. Last year I was with my son in UK. I got a call from a local TV channel. They said, sir, today there is some discussion. Where are you, sir? I said, I am in UK, Baba. Oh, sir, what to do now? I said, I don't know what to do. I cannot come physically to your studio. Well, sir, can you come on virtual? I said, no problem. So virtually they took me on the thing. This is the first time I appeared from abroad in Indian TV channel. The issue was that suddenly the state government had issued notices to various people depending upon their turnover available on their bank account. GST. Yours is central GST. The state GST started issuing notices to small-time traders. They never imagined that turnover has gone so much. This is, we never realized. We were happy as long as we don't have to handle the cash. We went on taking through QR code and we never knew that this is going to pile up in our bank account and it's going to reflect on us. Today, turnover is crossed. So whether I have filed just the GST return or not. So what happened? This virtual enforcement also comes into the play. Without knowing how, in Tamil there is a saying like putting a pin into a banana. You will never know how the pin goes in and it will get in. Then it will, when you eat that banana, you'll come to know there's a needle inside. It's something like that. Okay. Next slide, please. The scope of virtual digital assets has been broadened to cover assets that holds value. Because ultimately, we see the value of an asset. Value means what? How this has come into existence. The other day, I was speaking to the valuers. So I asked them, how do you value a property for the income tax purposes? Sir, we take the market value. We got the area. We see the guideline value. And then we put the guideline value and evaluate it. I said, are you aware what is the focus of the income tax department? He said, sir, the value of the property. I said, you are talking about the value of the property that is if sold in the open market, what will be its price? But we look into one aspect, which is that how much money has gone into creation of this property. That is what we are interested in. Suppose the house has got morals in the house. The flooring is made up of expensive imported marbles, or for the fitting that is used is all very expensive ones. Even the tap, you can get 10 rupees tap also, you can get jogger costing much more. You can put that also. So the everything you have to see how much money has gone into that at that point of time. We are interested in that part because that is where the income comes into the play. And this asset is lying in a form of an investment of the income that you have earned. That's where we have to see that. So focus you keep in that and you see the valuation. Then you will find that simply making 1 + 1 2 is not valuation. You'll have to apply your mind onto that. Then for dispute resolution, there is a separate, robust, taxpayer-friendly application has been created and all these things. The Income Tax Act 20 represents a transformative step towards building a more transparent and efficient taxpayer-friendly direct system in India. How transparent it is, how efficient it is, and how taxpayer-friendly it is, only the time will tell. Because once you start applying, then people will come to know. By simplifying legal structure and embracing digital process and aligning with global standards, the Act lays the foundation for a modern framework in this case. So, guided by this vision of a developed and inclusive India, this form reflects the government's commitment to ease compliance and economic growth and institutional accountability. Now, what happened? This is what is the general purpose for which this particular act has been created. Okay. Now, I'll quickly go through the comparative areas. What are the areas that have been brought in? If you see the Income Tax Act, it's a wonderful enactment. I have enjoyed reading this. You say, what is there to enjoy in this income tax? Everybody is terribly tired of, very afraid of income tax. What is there to enjoy it? I said, look, the beauty of income tax. I will tell you how beautiful the Income Tax Act is organized. There's a proper flow. There's a logical organization of things. And wherever in the earlier part the logic was not there, that has been taken care of in this 2025 Act. I'll come to that also. First, as you know, whenever a child is born, a name is given to you because that is where you have to be identified with. So every act will start with that sentence, this act shall be called as Income Tax Act so and so, so and so. As I used to say about, before starting, I used to say, Mahabharata is the story of 5H and 1W. But law is the story of 5W and 1H. What are these 5Ws? What is the law? Since when is this law applicable? Where is this law applicable? To whom is this law applicable? And why is this law? Then H is how is this law implemented? That is there in the rules. Now these four things. What is the law? Where is the law applicable? From when it is applicable and to whom it's applicable? All are available in the books. But why is this law is not available in books? So this why, if one understands, it becomes very easy to understand the law. It's, of course, you have been dealing with GST all these years, but income is a different ball game by itself. The section 1 to 9 in the earlier Income Tax Act, which is still till up to 10, where everything is completed in that. What is the law? Income tax law, since it's applied to the whole of India, then it applies to all the citizens who are all the persons who are residents, non-residents, vagara, all these things are corrected and all. And since when, where, everything is clarified. Global income is defined, local income is defined, everything is defined. Deemed income is covered, fiction of law, everything is completed by you come to section 9. After section 9, when all the items that is to be considered under the Income Tax Act is considered, 3 areas are taken out. One area is on which no income tax is payable. That is, income that do not form part of total income, the exempted income. The second part, this part consisted of earlier section 11, 12 and 13, put in like that. They were actually dealing with the exemptions. Section 10 dealt with income-based exemption 11, 12, and 13 dealt with assessee-based exemption. That means the charitable institutions, etc., were dealt with in that assessee-based exemption. Because as a charitable organization, you are doing, as other just before introduction, Mr. Rajanikanth was telling about the central excise tax. I said income tax is a dynamic. You use the word dynamic. I'll use one more word. Income tax is a socio-economic dynamic enactment. It's a revenue enactment, all right. It is socio. Because what is the government doing after collecting the money? It's going to spend it for the people. So it becomes a social. In that case, what happens? If somebody else is ready to do the work of the government, then government say, okay, you are doing government work, no problem, don't pay tax. So the charitable institutions are doing the welfare activity for the people, which the government is expected to do. So they are getting the exemption from that. And the word dynamic, because whenever you give any concession to anybody, there is every possibility of misuse of that. The government has to keep its eyes and ears open. And when you find that there is a misuse of it, or there has been some unintended interpretation by which the intention of legislature is hit, it has to make remedial actions. That's why it's called dynamic enactment. So it is called socio-economic dynamic enactment. It goes like that. So here, the 11, 12, 13 dealt with charitable trusts. But for which purpose? You had to determine the income and then only give an exemption for that. So what they did in that case, they took out that trusts and everything out and put it in that area where special assessments are being made. Special assessments, how they are dealt with. There, this whole section has been moved. It has been moved out of the exemption area into the special assessment area where they will enjoy the things, because it has to come after the computation, not before that. The logic was not there before. First you talked about computation here, then the computation started. Now it has to come after the computation. So accordingly, it is moved there to subsequent area. So now, after the computation was started off under the 5 heads: salary, house property income, business and professions, capital gain, and other source. Other sources being residuary section. So 13 to 95 dealt with those areas, and lastly that was dealt with near 10 to 59. Then what happens if you have been smart enough to divert your income to somebody else and say, this is not my income, it is somebody else's income, but you are the person who is legitimate to get that income, then it should be taxed in your hand. So that is where the item came as income of other persons, including total income of the assessee. Then, of course, aggregation was there, and then deductions to be made. Before deduction, there is an area called as set off and carry forwards. So wherever there is a set off and carry forward to be recorded, all these things are considered arriving at a gross total income. From this deduction came. So first we talk about the item that is taken out is the exemption area. Second, we start taking out the deduction which are called as internal deductions. While computing an income, whatever expenses that is attributable to the earning of this income, that has to be set off first. So that is done in the computation part. That is over. Then afterwards comes the incentives. You make certain incentives, okay, you will get deduction of that. That income primarily included in the total income, but then deduction is granted by way of 80 chapter 6a, that is the thing that goes on. That is actually vertically divided into two areas. Earlier it was from A to G, about the money that is going out of your pocket, and onwards money coming into your pocket, that is being claimed as a deduction here. That was the thing over this, that is maintained at that area. So when these things happen, go to the next slide, please. Now, there was one section called income forming part total income on which no tax is payable. Now, this is again an exemption area. So why have a separate chapter on this? It is already dealt with in the exemption area. So it is taken over there. And that is why this particular thing has been abolished. This 81 to 86 does not have any applicability. Once you determine the income, what is the next step? Is to levy the tax. So you levy the tax. But while levying the tax, they say there can be some rebate and relief. Relief comes where there is a hardship. That is an income getting doubly taxed, or the income for the previous years paid now. Suppose you receive arrears of salary. So you receive arrears of salary this year, but it should be taxed earlier year. So again, it's going to get taxed here at a higher rate. To avoid that, that particular thing was taken into consideration. So rebate and relief, in Hindi, they use the word chhoot or rahat. Chhoot means reduction in the quantum of your tax. Relief is to relieve of the higher rate of taxation applicable on you, that the relief takes place. This includes double taxation, and all those things will be taken in this aspect. Then you come to further area, that general anti-avoidance. Anybody is making some scheme of anti-avoidance, that is there, that will be taken care of in this area. Now, additional tax of undistributed profits have been taken off because there is no relevance at this point of time, because that is taken off, the dividend part and all those things is taken off separately. Mode of payment. This was earlier dealt in 269 SS, much after even the appeals. But that is relevant to the assessment. Because if the money is paid in cash, you are going to take it as an income. So it has to come into the income area. So that has been brought in line here before the determination of special cases. Back, a logic arrangement that has taken place over here. Then comes determination of special cases. Now, special cases means what? It can be the assessment of the legal heirs on the death of the SSC. It can be a ship which is coming for a short time in India and going back. Then assessment of firms which is held separately. Then also the trusts which were there held where in 11, 12 and 13 have been brought over here. Now the term used is that registered non-profit organization. That is the word that is used for them. So that is how that is being dealt with in this. Then all these things are done. Now next administration comes as who has to enforce this law? Of course, the authorities. So the authorities are dealt with in this section, and naturally authority cannot function without powers. So authorities and their powers are dealt with subsequently. Next slide, please. Now what happened? Once the powers are given, 138, then the assessment procedures start. 139 to 158 and all those things start going in. The return of income comes, procedure of assessment, special provisions relating to special assessments. Those things are dealt with in detail. So once assessments are completed, now what happens? There can be a dispute. Dispute resolution, appeals, revisions, etc. will come into the place. Here also the certain sections are moved to later part of that. I will come to that, explain that part later on. Then earlier there was a provision for acquisition of property, which said that if the apparent consideration is less than 10% of the market value, the department can compulsorily acquire the property by paying 10% more than the apparent consideration. That means the value of the property is 100 and you have sold it for 70 rupees. Then government can pay 70 rupees plus 7 rupees, 77 rupees, and acquire the property forcefully. I worked in that section for about a year in Mumbai. So that is there. So there again, various aspects are there. I'm not going to the nuance of those things. So now this particular provision has been abolished because already we are taking care of enough of these people. This provision has been 169 section is abolished under this part. Next slide, please. Yeah. So purchase and removal property is gone. Now collection and recovery. Now what happened? All these things are being done. Now ultimately, once you are determined, you have to collect the paisa also. No? What for you are there? Ultimately, income tax department is for collection. So all these sections of TDS, advance tax, self-assessment, all those things are dealt with there. That is all dealt with in the recovery proceedings. There also, that is dealing with the provisions where the tax recovery officers' rules have also been brought into this section. 414 and 415 are the sections dealing with that and collection of that and how that thing has to be taken. So then, of course, if you paid more, then you have to be refunded that money. That is refunded. So there is a old section was there, relief respecting tax on dividend in certain cases. That is not there now because dividend is straight away tax in the hand of the recipient. So that is not necessary, that is ruled out. Settlement commissions have been abolished. Only that residuary powers are lying now, though that power is not there. Now, advance ruling is already there, but advance ruling has got its own specific conditions. It is applicable for that particular year, for a particular situation in respect of a particular assessee. If you have to go and claim it subsequently, again satisfied that this is also applicable here, you may get a relief in that case, but primarily that applies only that particular thing. Now, in this regard, I will give you a very one example of, in Bombay, there is something called floor space index. Even in Bangalore also, I think you have got. That is what you call as if you got 100, if the floor space index is 1, if you got 100 square feet of land, you can build 100 square feet on that. So you can build 50 square feet ground and first floor like that and all those things. Then what the word used here is TDR, transfer of developmental rights. That question is there. Now what happened? One fellow went to the municipality and said, "Sir, I have got 2 plots of land, but I want to, they are adjacent to each other, but I want to build one bungalow and have a open lawn in front of my house." Okay, go ahead. "Sir, can I use that FSI available on that land in this land?" "Sir, they are contagious." "No problem." So he said, "Okay, no problem. You also will not have problem." Okay. Yes, sir, but the question is that there is a nala running between the 2 pieces of land. Of course, I'll cover it. Only 1 feet, sir. I'll cover it with a cover. I'll build a bridge and I'll maintain. Both properties are mine. No problem, sir. I can still use it? Yes, you can use it. No problem. Sir, this property is in Srirampuram. The other property is in the another ward, Okalipuram. So, technically, land in 2 different municipal areas. Whether I can use the FSI of the municipal area there, here. Oh, he said, okay. Then what he did, the most prime area is, say, you can say Whitefield, the highest rate of land is there. Then he goes to some remote place just before the municipal limit ends, where that much development has not taken place. There he will buy some land. And that TDR, he will try to shift it over here. In Bombay, many people bought land in Dahisar and took the development and utilized in Nariman Point and brought up high-rise buildings. That is not the intention of legislature. So all these things will come. That is why in advance ruling, they are very specific. Adjacent means adjacent, nothing beyond that. Whether this land or that land. All these things will have to be said. And say only to this party, not to other parties. So there should not be any misuse of the power that is taking place. That is where is advance ruling comes into cases. Then as usual, wherever you infringe provisions, penalties are there. But here what they have done, they have consolidated into tables. So that same thing is not repeated. Offense, then fine or penalty, with imprisonment, without imprisonment, whatever it is, that is all specified over here. So they are consolidated. So it is easy for us to understand the part of it. Similarly, offenses and prosecution, which is there and all. Then the miscellaneous part. So these are scheduled. This is what is the entire Income Tax Act. So while understanding that, I always tell them that. So these are the various schedules. You can go to the schedule. I'll explain the schedules also. Go to the next slide. The first conditions of certain activities not to constitute business connection. It is in respect of non-residents, that is there. Now these 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, they deal with exemptions only. Now in exemptions, what it says first, income not to be included in total income. That is the income-based exemption. Then second, income not to be included in the income of eligible persons. Only certain persons will get benefit of it, not others. Now it's not across the board with those. Then comes income not to be included of the total of eligible non-resident, this is respect of non-residents. This schedule is made. Next is eligible persons including investment funds and business. This is about the fund payment, and even the unit holders, everything is covered over here. Then international transaction, international finance center, because this is to encourage the direct investment, direct institutional investors who are making for them, how that money can be, because this encourage foreign exchange to come into India for capital investment, so that we can make the development fast. So that particular thing is put here. Next slide. Then it comes person-based exemption. That is, persons exempt from tax, irrespective of what is their income, they will be given this part. The irrespective is the substitute word for notwithstanding in the Income Tax Act now. Now, then 8 is not to include total income of political parties and electoral trust. Now, political parties are democratic process, and political parties are they need funds. But there again, there are conditions. They have to maintain accounts. They have to submit that returns. If they don't do it, then it will get taxed. They cannot say, I am the king, I will not file the return, do what you want. It is not like that. The law operates everybody. They have to do that. Then there further things comes is that, see, when you take various industries, I also tell my people, whenever you're taking up a case, you try to understand the business of the SSC. If you have to go to a premises of the SSC to search, you have to have a warrant. If you have to conduct a survey, you have to need the permission of the superior. But if you have to go to understand the business of the SSC, there is no need for anybody's permission. You can go and understand the business. Please visit. If you take a tea plantation, one moment you put seed and the tree comes, it is not permanent. It has got its life. It can give 1 crop, 2 crops. Subsequently, you have to remove everything and replant. That involves cost. Sometimes the government gives subsidy also. So these things are exempted. How they have to make those things are dealt with in the schedules. What are the things that are there? Then provident fund. They are charity. They are called. They are the what we call as approved. They are welfare means. All the welfare things, how they get exempted. Those things are being dealt with in these things. So with these various provisions under the law, and this is the crux of the Income Tax Act 2025. I think we are nearing 8:30, and these are the basic things. Question is again, we are taken off the entire thing, life insurance premium, etc., etc. All these things are there. So even every section, every word is so beautifully arranged. It's nice. I can share this. You can share with your people, because subsequently it's going a little longer on very technically it will become and all. I'm not going on to this at this point of time, keeping the time in frame. But so far, the introduction to 2025 Act and what is the purpose of this Act has been well explained to you. Now I would request to have any specific queries you have, you can ask me. It will be my pleasure within my limited knowledge that I have on the subject, whatever I can share on this call. Thank you.
Wonderful, sir. We will have part 2 in later weeks whenever you give the dates. So it's a continuous one which we are teaching our people about the income tax, new laws. That's what we have ventured into. Now, friends, kindly ask if you have any questions pertaining to today's talk, because he is going to speak on income tax, other aspects in the coming event. Kindly wait, tell your friends also, so that they can educate themselves. Any questions, please raise your hand or you can unmute, speak.
Sir, before you proceed, suppose you feel that I should continue next Thursday. I think the next Thursday a slot is available. I'm not having any engagement on next Thursday. But if you find it too early, you can decide on some other date also. I leave it to you.
No, sir, we will have it next Thursday only, sir.
No problem. No problem. Any time. No, if it next Thursday, please confirm it.
No,
if it
depending
is some other
upon
day,
your convenience.
Huh?
It is your convenience.
Next Thursday, I am available. I am available. That's right.
Okay, and we will hold it, sir. Listeners, kindly note, next Thursday, our Sridharji will be there, taking it further. Any questions now, please?
Then you can hold on sharing that PPT with others. Then we can go.
Certainly, sir.
Yes, sir.
We have P. Balasubramanian, who is a very good aviation expert, saying that the talk was very, very useful. I think he can unmute and speak. It will be very good. Balasubramanian.
Thank you, Kodandam sir. Sridhar sir, I don't know
Yeah.
how to express my appreciation. I'm humble enough to advise you that I'm an international speaker for more than 100 countries, and I'm a United Nations advisor and advisor to Prime Minister Modi as well in aviation.
So
You
nice to see you and
explained
the
it.
audience.
You explained it in such a simple, lucid manner with a fantastic example of Rama, Lakshmana, Sita. You couldn't have chosen a better example to see how English language can be funny and can be misinterpreted, you know. And then very logically you have taken my sincere appreciation, sir.
Thank you, sir. Thank you.
Time permitting, probably one of the days we will meet.
Definitely, sir. If
Certainly,
you
we will see
feel
that he meets
from
you.
from your context, if there's any area where I can be of use of sharing my knowledge, it will be my pleasure.
We will all share with each other, sir. Thank you.
Sure.
It's my pleasure.
Sir, it was really a great insight into this Income Tax Act 2025, sir. Because all these years, sir knows very well that we generally we middle class people, so what we want is only a standard deduction and ease in filing the returns. And our successive governments, so they used to introduce some scheme, so up to 5 lakhs, no tax, but 5 lakh 1 rupee, it will be completely taxed. So it was appearing weird for us because we don't know much about this tax administration philosophies behind it. But today you have explained it very nice, sir, and the way it is going, so this Income Tax Act 2025, it has become so dynamic and so this thing so user friendly. So in future we may get more and more. We can expect more and more amendments, and it will be still
It will
more
come. Yeah.
assessor friendly thing, sir.
Yes, sir. Definitely, sir. Definitely. And, in fact, I'm taking the lead from the people with comments, and I'm making episode. In fact, today I did a recording of an episode in the afternoon regarding exact the process of filing the return. How you exactly go to file the return? What are the
Yes.
cares and cautions you take? What are the documents you should have? And what are the checks you should have? What are the how you should conclude? How you have to submit? How you have to do for everybody, including salaried employees. Very often
Great.
we want to do it ourselves. We think, okay, we are intelligent, we'll do it. But when you land up there, once question asked, one bouncer comes from there and you don't know what to do. You started off with
Yes.
everything, then you would run around. Then suddenly you
Yes.
find that the screen has gone. You don't know how to go back. You have forgotten with your age. All these things come.
Yes, sir.
So you will have to, these chapters I dealt with in my thing. If you are following that tax talk by TNC Sridhar and see the episodes of the earlier things also on the relevant subjects, that will be because I
Yes.
have purely focused it not for a professional, it is for the common man. I have not used the sections, I have only used the language as to how
Yes, sir.
best one can understand in the most simplest language that's possible. This is my
Yes, sir.
small contribution to the society.
The simplicity is more required, sir, in particularly in law, because I am a law student. So whenever any law, any class, notwithstanding anything contained in such and such as class and such and such rule, what it is. So it was so difficult to understand as law students. So of course, so thanks to the dynamic improvements so done on Income Tax Act, sir.
Thank you. I think there's a
Yes.
query regarding TDS and deductions and exemptions.
Sir,
And
we
all.
will come in
But
the
we will
next
deal
talk.
it in
That's what I
our
wanted to
next
tell.
session in detail because we have to keep
Yeah,
time.
we will
also.
have. Yeah, we will talk on more on personal income tax in the coming one. Uma
Yes.
and others kindly await. Tell your friends to reach us in large numbers so that we can have a good audience. I think Rajnikant can cast vote of thanks for the day.
Yes, sir. TNC Sridhar, sir, today you have enlightened us so much on Income Tax Act, and that too, it is first of all, the Income Tax Act itself is simplified, but you have simplified it further for us. You have broken it down for us, and you have taught us very well. And in future also, in coming week also, you are coming, so you are welcome. So it was very nice having you on the show, sir. Thank you very much for coming on the show. So our sincere thanks to you on behalf of Samprabha and Ee Sambhashane team, sir.
Sir,
Yes,
before
sir.
you conclude, as Bhadan Raman sir said, you are a poet. Kindly give a small poem. I'll just give you two line poem in that.
Yeah. Before that, DS Hegde, kindly mute yourself.
Pardon?
There is somebody. DS Secretary sir, please mute yourself.
SIT को ये अधिकार है
Hegde sir, mute yourself.
प्रिलिमिनरी इंक्वायरी को FIR में कमिटी कॉग्निजेंस लेकर
2 lines only I will say is that
Yeah, please sir.
फैक्ट किया विचार रखना होगा
दुनिया को रोशन करना
इंक्वायरी में कुछ तरह
एक
से बड़ी
दीपक की
समस्या
बस की
आएंगी।
बात नहीं.
इसलिए ऐसा
It is
FIR
not
अभी
the capacity of a
प्रभावी
lamp
इसकी
to
बजाय
illuminate
कि
the whole world.
shot in the dark।
What an
अब
दुनिया को रोशन करना एक दीपक की बस की बात
सर
नहीं,
आजकल किसकी
लेकिन
क्या राय
अंधेरे
है?
में राही को अगला कदम
वो
दिखाना
हमारे इसलिए नहीं
दीपक
रखती
की
कि
बस
जो
की
कार्य
बात
हो रहा है
The lamp can
बात
show the
करना
way
चाहिए कि सभी
in
लोग
the
ये
night, dark night to a traveler who has
ये बात
lost
तो
his
सही है कि राम मंदिर में कुल 40
सूरज
लाख
जैसे
आदमी
बनना
से रहे।
शायद मेरी बस की बात नहीं. It is not within my capacity to become a sun.
Son. Yes.
But दीपक जैसे बनना हर इंसान की बस की बात है. It is possible for every individual to be a lamp to show the traveler the way in the darkness. So I only try to be a lamp. I am not venturing to become a sun. Thank you.
Sir, that shows your humility, sir. Thank you. Thank you very much, sir. I thank all the participants for participating. So I expect all participants will spread the message of this Ee Sambhashane to their kith and kins, friends, relatives, everybody, and make them to join this Ee Sambhashane series. So you can watch our Ee Sambhashane previous episodes on YouTube also. So thank you one and all. Good night. Shubharatri. Thank you, sir.
धन्यवाद. धन्यवाद.
Dhanyawad.